Good evening. It's Jules Wyman here from juleswyman.com, and as Facebook goes, haha, we're live, and shares this with people, I am going to do the same. And I'm just going to share this to my page so that I can invite people to come along and come and join the love conversation, because I know it takes a while for the wonderful technology that is Facebook to be able to let you know that I'm live. And I know for some people as well that they are it takes them a while to get this because of the timings of it and to tune in. And good evening, Caroline. Now I am just noticing that as ever, Facebook, hi Alyssa, has changed its way of doing things, which means I'm going to have to learn something new in the process of new Facebook Lives. So, brilliant. Okay, I'm here. I'm with you. So, good evening, ladies. And for those of you who are watching this on the recording, then please do, as the ladies have done so far, and there may be gentlemen watching as well, but I only know of 2 ladies that are here, do say hi, whether it's on the recording or whether you are watching us live now. Now, I know for some people, obviously, if you're watching the recording and you say hi, I'm not going to be able to say hi. So here is my hi and my big up to all of those people who do tune in to watch the recordings of these at your own leisure, which is what the beauty of Facebook Live offers. But for those of you that are watching live, I can do this. Good evening, Shelley. How are you diddling? Because it's live and the highs are coming in as I'm speaking. So for those of you who may be joining for the first time and maybe watching the recordings for the first time, welcome. It's great to have you here, and you can join in as much or as little as you would like on these conversations. I'm just going to fiddle with my camera a little bit here, see if I can get a better bit of lighting. That's my years of working in TV and theatre, always looking for the best lighting. And hey, Minnie, how lovely to have you here as well. And it's as I say, you can join in as much or as little as you like. And the purpose of me doing these confidence conversations every week is to do my best to just share a topic and share my thoughts, any insights, or if I've got any exercises or methods or technologies or techniques or anything like that that I've used that have worked for me, then I will share those with you as well. But it is about us having a conversation, so feel free to type away and share your thoughts and your insights. Basically, don't wait to be invited. You have my permission to put your comments in at any point. And they could be comments such as, this are my thoughts, these are my insights, my question is, or that resonates with me. And if something really does resonate with you, then please do use those like buttons so that I know it's resonating and connecting with you. And of course, as we're going to be talking about the topic or on the topic of love, then you can do loads of heart ones too. Show me some loving, because that would be great. But what I say every week as well is to remember that if something that I'm talking about, if it doesn't make sense, or if you don't agree with it, which I'm not expecting you to always agree with me, that rather than do the sad face or the angry face or any other emoji, is let me know what's making sense. Because very often I know that I can get caught in a habit pattern. Yay, there's some love coming in. Hey, Rachel. How lovely to have you here as well. I know that I can get caught in sharing knowledge in a similar way. And sometimes that may resonate with people, that may make sense for people. and equally it may not, and they may need it explained in a different way. And also, if something's not resonating and you challenge back, then gives me the opportunity to look at it and see whether it makes sense to me, whether there is a different way of looking at it, etc., etc. So I just need to double check that that is all working fine and dandy, and then I can switch myself off so that I'm not being distracted by this, because I have some key things. Yeah, that's all good there, brilliant. I have some key things that I really would love to share with you this evening, but I would invite you to make sure that you have a pen and paper to hand, or be willing to type in your thoughts, type in your answers. And of course, you feel free to share this video now with anybody else. You can invite them to come and join the video. This is the person I was talking about, and tag somebody in it, or you can just share this video to your page. It's completely up to you which way you choose to share. But let me know. I was going to say something then, and I have no idea what specifically I was going to say. Let me know, and then the sentence finished. I'm having some interesting mind changes at the moment, so I apologise. Good evening, Katie. How are you? Been a while since I've caught up with you and whatever's happening for you. So, love. It's undeniable. If you saw the trailer that I did for this video, it really is undeniable that whether you choose to buy into Valentine's Day or not, my office is in the centre of York, and I walk to work every day, and I pass a variety of different shops, from everything from big chain stores to independents, charity shops, hat stores, vintage stores, pen shops, you name it. I kind of walk past a variety of different things, restaurants. And in the last week, the colour red has been starting to adorn these windows, as well as hearts and symbols of flowers and offers of, you could do this for your Valentine and spoil your Valentine in this way and show them that you love them in this way. And so I thought that even though I've never really been somebody, apart from when I was a kid, when I think my mum used to send me a Valentine's card, I've never really been a big fan of Valentine's, because to me it is something that it's extremely commercialised, and that's not something that I would buy into. But whether you buy into it or not, I do buy into love. And so I thought that is where we would start our conversation this evening. And as I say, you can join in as much in this conversation as you would like. But I want to invite you, before I launch into any of my thoughts on it, I want to invite you to grab that pen and paper and answer for yourself, or jot down your thoughts as to what is love. For you, what is love? What does that mean for you? And there's no right or wrong answers, but just jot down some of your thoughts. When you think about love, what is it? What does that actually mean for you? I'll give you a few moments to either type away. As I say, please feel free to put your answers in the comments box if you want to, or just scribble down your thoughts. What is love? What does that mean to you or for you? I'm aware that it may take you a while to type, especially if you're on a phone. See what I mean? Words disappearing on a phone. Hello, Ellie. Hello again. But yeah, what is love? What does that mean to you? And the reason I wanted to start with that is because For me, it's a bit like the word, hello, Phoebe. And she said, love is happiness. I love that, Phoebe. Thank you for that thought. I'd love to know what Mum thinks as well. But the reason I thought about it is because to me, it's a bit like the word confidence in the sense that it gets bandied around a lot. You know, oh, I love my dinner. Boom. We just use that word. Or we might love a place. I love Rome. Or I love a particular TV program. Or it might be that you say that you love the cat, the dog, your partner, the children, whatever it may be. But also something else I noticed is a lot of people say love you as a sign off at the end of a phone call as well. And it's quite automated. It's quite an automated response, you know, rather than just bye now or bye or see you later or however you might sign off. It's love you, love you, love you. So I think it's quite interesting that this word, that especially at this time of year, a lot of people are starting to think about it in different ways, whether they perceive they have it or they don't. And actually, how often do we use it, and in what context do we use it? And if, like Phoebe has said, that it's about happiness, okay, well, what does that mean? What is that happiness within, without? How does that show up? Ellie says day-to-day actions, not hearts and flowers, and every day, not one day in February. No, that's personally my view on it as well. It's not particularly one day in February, but it's something that spans across times. And I think that it gets used in so many different contexts, the word love, that I think that we don't always understand what we mean by it. Because if we're talking about, which is really what's being pushed at this time of year, is romantic love. Well, there's so many bits of research and study around that actually the majority of what we perceive as romantic love is driven from the same place that talks about needing to be fed, sheltered, and looked after. So actually that research from brain scans has highlighted that love can be perceived as being a very primal thing. It's a very primal based driven motive of human beings. And actually romantic love, as we've perceived it and as it has been Hollywoodized, isn't necessarily the same thing. And that actually the base driver that we have could actually be about procreation. So, and there's nothing wrong in that, but it's about recognizing that there could be something coming in that sense. I thought I'd put that off so that I couldn't see it. There's some. For me, it's caring, being in the moment and feeling. Okay, that's lovely. I see love as positive energy that can be shared. Thank you, Shelley. Katie, you've put a video which obviously I can't look at right now, so I have to look at that later. Katie says it's more than words. I use love you as a sign off on phone calls, but only for a few people. You never know when that may be the last time they hear it. Not being morbid, just feel it's important to verbalise it when you truly mean it even. I use it in person too, though, genuinely with hugs as well. And feeling joy, Rachel has said. These are great, ladies. I'm saying ladies because I don't know if there are any men watching, but if there are, please feel free to comment as well. What's interesting, I think, when we sign off and we say love you, there's no personal attachment to it. Because if I'm just saying love you, I'm not saying that I do. And equally, if it's becoming something that is routine, just in the same way as saying goodbye, are we really thinking about it? And I'm not intimating that that's what you're doing at all, Ellie, but I know it's something that I have consciously thought about because I'm in agreement. I never know when when that could be the last time that I see somebody, and I've experienced a number of that over the last few years. So I do make a point of letting the people that I love know that I love them. And that's not just through my words, but through my actions as well. Caroline says, love for me is loving myself and people closest to me. So that's an interesting thing, Caroline, and slightly with two things there that link into the next couple of points that I wanted us to think about, really, just to offer these thoughts out. Because I think that as well as romantic love, I think there's also social love. Because I think that I've been doing a lot of work. I've got a new product that I'm finalising called Leading with Belief. And one of the modules in there is about connections. I've been doing there's lots of hearts going across at the moment. And I've been doing a lot of research over the last few months about connection, what it is, how to achieve it, what's the importance of it, the value of it, and how that impacts us as human beings. Because often people will talk about, that social love, that is that belonging, it is that connection. But actually, I think that both social love and the common thread of social love, but also romantic love, is that it's about intimacy. And I think that intimacy is not necessarily about being physically intimate with somebody, nor do I think it's about sharing your deepest, darkest secrets every 2 minutes either. But I think that level of intimacy, that level of connection that potentially we can have with somebody is about being vulnerable, showing who you are, the rawness of yourself. I know, for example, there's been a number of videos where something has come up that I've spoken about that I hadn't intended to talk about, and yet it's come up, and I may have started crying, and that's where I'm at that moment in time. And my aim is to be as open and intimate with you in that sense of showing where I'm at that moment in time. Is this making sense? So I think in some ways that social love is also a big part of it. It doesn't have to be romantic love. I think there's some of that connection, which I think is what's missing in the grander scheme of humanity. I don't think that we take enough time to be loving to other people as we walk past them on the street, for example, or in a cafe, or somebody who served us, or whatever it may be. I don't think we take the time often enough to do that. And I think that, to me, that's a distinction, that rather than just using a word of love, is actually to recognise love is a verb. And it's about being loving and doing acts of love. And that isn't just in that social situation, but it is also about for ourselves, which I'll come on to in a moment, because I can see there's some more comments coming in. So Minnie says, it's a flood of emotions and a deeper connection. I personally don't use the word unless I mean it, because it gives it more meaning. Thank you for that, Minnie. Facebook, if you're listening, I am liking the new way that you're doing the comments on the Facebook Lives. It's very interesting. I like it. Ellie says, I've noticed that lots of younger generations seem to say it very readily and very quickly. Perhaps that's connected to the pace and speed of how they connect generally. Goodness, I sound like a decrepit saying that. Ellie, you're anything but decrepit, my lovely. But that's one of the things that I've noticed is that. But I think there's an extreme with the language, because one thing I've noticed with, and Phoebe, if you're still watching, being a member of the younger generation, I'd love your thoughts on this via your mum's Facebook page, or Facebook feed rather, is that what I notice is it's the extremes of language with the younger generation. And when I say younger generation, actually, I'm noticing it with the millennials, so your 30-year-olds under, really and truly, that they will talk about hate, they will talk about love, they will talk about depression, they will talk about ecstasy, it's the extremes of emotions that they tend to use languaging for, rather than looking for the nuances of what that really is, and how that impacts on us, if that makes sense. So that's an interesting feedback. And Rachel says, an act of love doesn't mean a grand gesture. So many ways you can show you care. I absolutely agree with that. And I think that's where, for me, a big turning point personally was to start seeing, and I can't remember who originally said it to me, but to see love as a verb, to recognize it's something that it doesn't just happen. It's something that you participate in. It's something that you do. And I think the other, I remember the conversation that I was having was that it was also then about, can you do that act of love and it be unconditional? Because very often I think we think that we're being unconditional, but actually we have these hidden conditions or expectations or rules that then when they don't get met, this love that we think we have kind of, well, how could they treat me that way? Why would they treat me like that? Why did they do this? We start to bring it into question. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that bit. But one of the key things, she says, looking down at her notes, one of the key things that I'm very aware of when I have this conversation with clients, and it doesn't matter. One of my youngest clients at the moment is 19, and one of my eldest clients, or she won't like me saying that, older clients is in her 60s. And there's a whole variety of people in between, and some people are married and loved up, some people are single, some people are recently divorced, widowed, etc. There's every possible relationship, romantic relationship in that spectrum. And whenever relationships and romance and love comes up, one of the things that I ask people is, well, what does it mean? Going back to what I was saying to you earlier, what does that love mean? And it's interesting that the similar words that come up over and over again, regardless of the generation that I asked, and it's words that many of you have used, and one of them is care and caring. And the other two main ones that come up is about being supportive or supporting and respectful. And something that I will say to clients, and I'm going to offer it to you, which is, when you get clear on what you think love is, and your expectations about love and being loving towards somebody else or receiving that from somebody else, when you get clear on those words, check in and be honest. Do you treat yourself in that way? Excuse me. Because very often, I would say, in all honesty, 99.9% of the people that I've worked with in the last 12 years, be that one-to-one coaching or be that in group environments, that when I ask them about something like respect, and this could be that they want it from their partner or their children or their boss or their work colleagues, and I ask them about, do they genuinely respect themselves? Do they treat themselves with respect? Do they put boundaries in for themselves around respect and stick to them? 99.9% of the time, people will say yes, well, but I kind of do. And then there becomes all these justifications and it depends and maybe. So my offering really to you around love is really about self-love, which I'm sure if you've known any of the work that I do, that you probably could have guessed that that's where I would head the conversation, because it's been my biggest learning. And when you are able to genuinely be loving to you, no matter what your weight is like, no matter how much money you've got in the bank, no matter what your relationship is like, or how you're doing or not doing at work, or any of the stuff in between, when you are able to treat yourself with loving care, when you are able to respect yourself, be loving to yourself unconditionally, then in my experience, the relationships that you have around you really change. They really change in exponential ways, and not without you having to force or prescribe that the other person has to behave in a certain way. But those relationships really can shift actually when you treat yourself with loving kindness, because you then respect yourself. You then put those boundaries in place. You are supportive of yourself for yourself. You know when to reach out and get the support that you need. You know when to take a rest day, for example. You know when, gosh, I can't think of any other examples. You know when, I'm just going to speak for myself here. I know when I'm not being loving to myself based on what food I'm consuming, or when I'm consuming that food, or even I could have the most beautifully healthy food in front of me, but am I enjoying it, or am I just shoveling it in? And, am I cooking because I just have to cook and that's what I have to do? Or am I enjoying that process? Am I being loving with that process? Does this make sense? Let me know if this is making sense. In fact, let me know if this is making sense. Do some hearts. You can trigger her away. Phoebe, show your mum how quick you can trigger her away. So Katie says, totally agree, Jules. You can only truly love another once you manage to love yourself first. I'm starting to do this now. And that's such a key thing, Katie, is recognizing, there they go, bring on the love, thank you. It's recognizing that it's a process, because the majority of us haven't been taught that. And this isn't about whether we grew up with good parents or bad parents, or there's loads of hearts coming in now. This is ace, thank you. Or about what happened to us in that process. What this is about you recognizing that it's not selfish to treat yourself in that way, and taking care of yourself, being loving to and for yourself. That is about respect. And if you've got children, then that's a great way of showing them how to do that for themselves. I know it's the cliched, overused analogy of you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help anybody else. And again, there is a great deal of research and conversations out there now around, I know Brené Brown talks about this, that she will argue, and I agree with her, that you cannot love somebody else if you do not love yourself, because how could you even know what love is if you can't give something that you have no experience of? And I would say the same for kindness. I would say the same for support, respect, etc., etc. So it has to start with you. It has to. Really does. Caroline says, very true. Rachel says, valuable lesson for me, Jules, to recognise this and start to focus on self-love. I genuinely thank you for that. Mwah. Oh, Rachel, I'll give you a big hug. I'll see you in a few weeks, so I'll be able to do that. You can't pour from a glass that's half empty. Yeah, absolutely, Ellie. Absolutely. And it's about recognizing that you need to know it for yourself. And so many parents think that they just need to tell their child how to do it rather than live it. And we all need to live it. We need to know it for ourselves, and then you can see how that radiates out to other people without having to teach them, because you lead by example. And it's why I've created the Leading with Belief program, because we need great leaders. Whether you perceive yourself as a leader or not, you are. whether that be in a parental space, whether that be in the workspace, whether that be in the relationship space. That is what it's about. It's about you learning to lead with that true belief of yourself moving forward. Now, I'm not going to do a big push about the Leading with Belief program because I'm not. But if it is something that you are genuinely interested in, then message yes below or message me directly, and I will private message you the link of how you can access it. Well, I know that the person that's working through it at the moment, who has been doing various bits on the program for me, has said that she thinks it's the best work I've done so far. So her words, not mine. But if you are interested, then do let me know, and I will send you the information for that. Please be aware. These are my thoughts. My invitation, really, and why I thought this was important, is because I have noticed, mainly because I've been watching Friends at the moment, watching a lot of Friends, because there's a whole load of the Friends TV series that I've never seen, so I'm catching up with it now that it's available on a well-known streaming website. And what I noticed is there's a lot of the relationships and the interplay of relationships happen because they perceive that they're missing out on something. So, for example, when I can't believe I'm going to reference this, but it's an easy way of explaining it. When Ross and Emily get married, Monica gets so sad that that's how she and Chandler actually end up getting together, because she thinks she's missing out on love and that she'll never find love. And I think that's extremely common, and especially at this time of year when you're single and people aren't sending flowers and cards and telling you how much they love you, and you haven't got the secret admirers or whatever it may be. It could be easy to go into that story of I'm not loved, I'm not enough, I'm not being loved, and could end up that I could end up then craving or heading into a potentially not helpful relationship with somebody. But actually, if I'm craving that outside of myself, then I have to perceive that love is missing on the inside. So therefore, that's my starting point, is that I need to love myself and be loving to myself. It's the same as with respect. It's the same as with support, honesty, whatever it may be. I need it here. I need to do that for myself. Not that I can't have it from somebody else or receive it from other people. Of course I can. But that true connection with it has got to start from myself. Does that make sense? There was as I said, does that make sense? There was a heart that popped up on my screen. It could not have been more perfectly timed. So whoever that was, I couldn't see who it was, but thank you very much for the perfectly timed love heart. So, oh yes, Rachel, I will send you the information about Leading with Belief, no problem at all. But I would love to know if you've got any final comments, any final thoughts on love, and what is your takeaway from this evening's conversation? What are your final thoughts? And also to remember, or to remind you, show some love and share this video. Maybe share this video with people and make a pledge that this is how I'm going to be loving to myself for the rest of February, and give them an example. So I'm going to be loving to myself by taking a walk in nature, or I'm going to be loving by giving myself the space to read, or giving myself the space to meditate, or giving myself that space to draw, sing, whatever it may be. Giving yourself that space. You can share this video with your friends and make that kind of commitment with them. so that you've got that accountability, but that loving support as well of showing, and you can lead your way forward by giving people the opportunity to know what it is that you're doing. So I'm not sure if I'm giving you enough time to tippity type or not. I'm pretty sure that if you are still typing and I do finish the video, that your comment will come up. So please don't panic if I'm wrapping up and you're like, I'm still typing, Jules. That's absolutely fine. And also remember, if you're watching this on the recording, that you can comment too along with everybody else. And I do come back and look at the comments and answer any questions, or look at what your thoughts and your insights are as well. So thank you for showing me your love by connecting this evening and joining in the conversation. I'm quite happy to talk to myself, but it's even more fun when there's some other wonderful people joining in the conversation and sharing their thoughts. The wonderful metaphor is, as Ali said, about you can't pour from a glass that's empty, and it is about recognizing that. So thank you for your big hugs, Minnie. They are gratefully received. Always like a nice hug, me. Bit of a hug fanatic. I was going to share with you the topic for next week, but I think I shall leave you in tenterhooks around that. Please do remember, if you have any questions, any thoughts, or any particular topics that you would like to be covered in the Confidence Conversation, to message me direct on this page, or you can email me, jules@juleswyman.com. And we can bring those topics to the conversation in future weeks. But until then, Rachel says, thank you for the Monday thoughts and insights on love. Sending you a big hug, Jules. And again, gratefully received. I love a hug. Love a hug, me. So I look forward to seeing you next week. And in the meantime, be kind, be loving to you first and foremost. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye. Remember, share the love.